Have you noticed how often you are told to be softer, safer, more agreeable? And yet the less you push, the more invisible you become. You try to be sensitive and watch doors close to men who decide. You give endless context and watch respect drain toward men who take responsibility without theater. Dating feels like a mood court. Work feels like tone management. You were taught that roughness is harm and firmness is threat, and now you live in a fog of pleasing that never stabilizes. Carl Jung would say this confusion is not only personal, it is cultural. A civilization tips into feminization when the maternal principle of safety, inclusion, and feeling becomes law, without its balancing partner of form, boundary, and initiation. The result is a generation of men uninitiated into adulthood, exiled from their own edge, apologizing for wanting, and medicating the boredom that follows. Once you see the psychology underneath the slogans, Anima and Animus, shadow and persona, pure and senex, mother complex, and the collapse of the father archetype, you can stop drifting and begin to build a life that carries both tenderness and law. Jung begins with psychic polarity. Every psyche carries a feminine principle and a masculine principle. When a culture overweights the maternal pole, comfort, consensus, therapeutic speech, without the paternal pole, limit, decision, initiation, men are trained to remain sons. The mother complex goes public. Institutions speak in the voice of care while enforcing dependency. Rules yield to feelings. Dissent is judged by tone. In this weather, men learn two maneuvers. One is permanent adolescence, the pure eternus who lives by potential, avoids weight, and chases intensity for meaning. The other is brittle compliance, the masked man who perfects persona to avoid sanction and then resents what he served. The crisis looks like kindness on the surface and confusion underneath. Boys are taught to mistrust their aggression before it is integrated, so it leaks as sarcasm, addiction, or private contempt. Boundaries are reframed as cruelty, so integrity becomes a negotiation. The father archetype, which should name limits, give tasks, and bless effort, is either caricatured as oppression or absent altogether. Without a symbolic father, initiation has no place to happen. The culture invents substitutes, certificates, hashtags, applause. But these do not turn boys into men. They validate feelings. They do not confer form. Jung's language is old, but the effect is current. A man who is never allowed to carry lawful power will either perform power or flee from it. Performing looks like loud virtue with no receipts. Fleeing looks like ironic distance that never risks leadership. Both collapse in rooms that actually need decisions. The maternal field then concludes that men cannot be trusted, doubling the loop that made them uncertain in the first place. The antidote is not revolt against the feminine. It is restoration of polarity inside you. The maternal principle is precious. It nurses, shelters, and humanizes. It becomes tyrannical when it forbids separations that make adulthood possible. To exit the fog, you must accept the moral cost of saying no, of keeping schedule over mood, of speaking truth under duty, rather than seeking approval. You will be accused of hardness by people who have never been kept safe by softness alone. Accept the fee. The first step out of cultural feminization is private seriousness, a life ordered by something other than temperature. Jung's Anima is the inner feminine image that, when integrated, gives a man depth, wonder, and devotion. When it is unworked, it becomes a substitute church. The unworked anima promises meaning through proximity to approval. Cultural feminization trains men to live at that altar. They seek affirmation before they seek aim. They confuse being understood with being trustworthy. They apologize for edges that have not yet harmed anyone, hoping to be pre-cleared for closeness. In romance, this appears as auditioning rather than selecting. In work, it appears as seeking inclusion before delivering value. In friendship, it appears as conversations that exhaust and commitments that evaporate. The anima is not the enemy. She is a guide when she follows form. She becomes a deceiver when she leads. The modern flood of feelings without frame makes her sovereign. Men then read every discomfort as a violation instead of as a signal to build capacity. They medicate boredom with novelty because stillness exposes the absence of telos. They adopt therapeutic language to avoid the primitive shock of responsibility. The psyche becomes a waiting room. Jung pairs anima with animus, the inner masculine in women. In a feminized culture, animus in its degraded form floods the collective as opinion without courage, judgment without justice, and tribunals without evidence. Men feel policed by atmospheres rather than held to standards. The correct answer is not sulking or rage. It is reinstating the rule of pattern over moment. You begin asking of yourself and others what can be checked: deadlines, deliveries, repeated behavior. The anima calms when reality resumes priesthood. Re-enchanting life does not require ritualized vulnerability in public. It requires devoting your sensitivity to things that can answer you back. Craft that resists you, bodies that tire, texts that outlast moods, promises that hurt if broken. The inner feminine then finds her rightful place, not as queen of your decisions, but as the singer who gives your work a melody. She softens you without dissolving you. Cultural feminization suffocates because it mistakes this chorus for the conductor. If you wait for permission to reorder your inner court, you will never begin. Cultures rarely bless separations they do not understand. The day you reverse the sequence, aim first, approval later, you will feel both loneliness and relief. That is not a flaw. It is the temperature change that tells you your life is now governed from the inside. Persona is the mask that lets you function in public. Jung never asked you to discard it. He asked you to stop confusing it with your face. Cultural feminization elevates persona to morality. Optics become ethics. Tone becomes truth. Men adapt by polishing performance. They learn the right adjectives, preface each sentence with disclaimers, apologize for imaginary harms, and build reputations optimized for not offending. The reward is short-term safety and long-term hollowness. Rooms may like you, no one can lean on you. The crisis sharpens in institutions. Meetings ask for feelings about plans rather than plans that guide feelings. Leaders become moderators of mood instead of stewards of mission. Decisions are delayed in the name of inclusion until reality makes them for you. In that vacuum, resentment breeds. Men begin to sneer at the surface while secretly craving someone to say no. The shadow, which Jung defines as the exiled parts of you, grows fat on the diet of suppressed aggression. When it erupts, the culture points and says masculinity is the problem, forgetting that it trained these explosions by outlawing training. Shadow integration is not venting. It is apprenticeship of your force to your aim. You name the parts you hid under polite masks: your taste for risk, your appetite for conquest, your fear of insignificance, your disdain for sloppiness. You bring them into daylight where they can be tasked. Risk becomes entrepreneurship or rescue work or leadership on hard projects. Conquest becomes mastery of a domain rather than domination of people. Fear becomes discipline. Disdain becomes standards that you meet first. The persona stops being armor and becomes uniform. Cultural feminization misreads this as regression. It is return to form. You will be told that confidence is arrogance and that boundaries are violence. Test the charge against outcomes. If your rooms grow calmer, your partners feel safer, your friends become more honest, and your enemies decide to stay at a distance, you are not brutal. You are legible. Legibility is the precondition of trust. The mask stays, but it matches the face. You speak with warmth and edge. You keep promises that cost. You refuse the economy of endless apology. And you place feelings in service to the work instead of making the work a servant of feelings. In those climates, women who want to be met by an adult exhale. Men who want to be initiated step forward. The rest drift to rooms more suited to performance. Let them. You are building a place where reality holds office again. Jung saw initiation as the passage from the maternal field into a larger order where a man earns his name. Traditional cultures enacted this publicly through trials, guilds, mentorship, and responsibility conferred by elders. In the modern West, those structures thinned. The paternal archetype fell into disrepute. The mother field stretched to fill the vacuum, and boys were told to be nice, while algorithms trained them to seek spectacle. Without initiation, men invented in destructive ways. They proved themselves through risk without service, politics without duty, and romance without vows. The culture then confirms its bias that masculinity is chaos. Cultural feminization condemns roughness without providing rites that burn away boyhood. You cannot moralize men into adulthood. You must load them with proportionate weight. A father function, whether carried by a man, a community, or a code, names the line, assigns the task, accepts imperfect tries, and praises earned strength. Without that function, shame or softness rule. Shame produces defiance disguised as freedom. Softness produces passivity disguised as kindness. Neither grows a spine. Initiation in Jung's register has 3 signs. There is separation from the maternal climate, not from love, but from supervision. There is ordeal under witnesses who want you to succeed, but will not falsify results. There is return to serve something beyond your feelings. This sequence creates men who can be tender without begging and fierce without posing. Cultural feminization fears the ordeal because it temporarily hurts. So it extends adolescence indefinitely and calls it empathy. Chronic adolescence hurts more only later. If you cannot find rights, you make them. You place yourself where the score is kept by reality. Fields where skill is visible. Trades where product is shipped. Teams where others rely on you. Households where children read your face as law. You choose elders who correct rather than flatter. You take younger men and teach them to carry what you already carry. The psyche reorganizes around duty. The mother principle now blesses instead of managing. She is honored by the son who no longer drains her. This is not nostalgia. It is repair. A culture that equalizes outcomes without equalizing burdens breeds contempt. A culture that honors burdens confers dignity. The lost man becomes found the day he accepts that the pain of growing is cleaner than the ache of drifting. When a generation of men does this together, feminization yields to balance without anyone having to be humiliated. Jung warned that a one-sided age breeds neurosis. Today, the neurosis appears as anxious men who cannot decide and angry men who cannot connect. Both are symptoms of imbalance. The anxious are overrun by inner mother tongues. Be safe, be small, be soft. The angry are overrun by orphan energy. No one will bless you, so take and gloat. Cultural feminization amplifies both by rewarding confession without conversion and punishing firmness without hearing what it serves. The path back begins with a sober audit. Where have you outsourced your conscience to the room? Where have you surrendered your schedule to moods? Where have you traded promises for performances of sincerity? Where do you still expect women to supply meaning you refuse to build? Jung's individuation demands you answer privately and act without an audience. You replace borrowed gravity with inner law. You replace vague empathy with specific service. You replace self-pity with a craft that can be inspected. You replace longing for initiation with men you can help and men who can correct you. Women are not the cause of male drift. Many are tired of carrying relationships while men negotiate their adulthood. Many are tired of being asked to mother lovers, to adjudicate every mood, to be climate technicians. When a man brings weather that is readable and warm, the right women relax. The wrong women escalate because their power required your softness. You are not required to fix that story. You are required to refuse it. Cultural feminization loses oxygen each time a man calmly says no to being managed and yes to being measured. Expect losses. You will be called rigid by those who benefited from your flexibility. You will be called patriarchal by those who confuse form with oppression. You will be accused of fragility for declining conversations that only punish. None of these are verdicts. They are fees. Pay them and continue. The results accumulate as quiet authority. Jung called this giving style to one's character. You are no longer a bundle of conflicting policies. You are one law in many rooms. When enough men carry that law, other men find their feet faster, and women who want partners, not sons, find rest. The point was never victory in comment sections. The point was a house, a name, and a life that produces more warmth than it consumes. Jung's final gift is the self, the deep center that reconciles opposites without erasing them. The cure for cultural feminization is not a swing into caricatured hardness. It is integration. You keep the feminine gifts that humanize you, empathy, receptivity, care, while enthroning the masculine gifts that stabilize you, limit, aim, decision. You stop bargaining your integrity for access and your tenderness for control. You speak less about feelings and more with feeling once the decision is made. You treat love as work that reveals you, rather than as anesthesia that excuses you. A man is found when he can say yes and no without theatre. He is found when his anima sings but does not steer. He is found when his shadow has tasks and his persona matches his face. He is found when other men can lean on him and women can rest near him. Cultural feminization taught you to fear that man. Jung teaches you to become him, not by hating the age, but by refusing its one-sidedness in your body first. You add back the missing father function by keeping the promises your mouth makes. You honor the true mother by freeing her from managing you. You protect the child by giving him a future that does not require his constant rescue. You will feel alone before you feel joined. That is initiation. You will be misunderstood before you are imitated. That is leadership. You will doubt before you believe. That is faith in practice. Keep going. Measure your life by what returns after you decide. Steadier mornings, cleaner rooms, fewer excuses, better arguments, quiet laughter that does not need an audience. These are signs the self is taking office. You reach the end, which already separates you from men who prefer fog to form. If this named the imbalance you live and gave you language to correct it, break the wall with me. Like this video and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Share this to a brother losing himself in softness and subscribe if you want psychology with a blade.